वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभय एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you everyone for joining for the class. I would like to take questions from all of you so that I can speak something on the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita as it is. So today we are discussing, again we are on 4th chapter. I hope you all are able to hear me. Let's quickly share my screen. So we have covered till yesterday 32 verse. So please repeat after me. I'll say the verse is 4.33. Shreyan dravyamaya
yajna
Jnana yagna parantapa Sarva karma kilam partha
sarvam kurma partha
Jnana parisampayate
jnane parisamapayate.
Shreyan dravyamaya Jnana yagna parantapa Sarvam karma kilam partha Jnana parisampayate
jnane parisamapyate.
Shreyan dravyamaya Dhyana yagna parantapa
jnana yajna parantapa
Sarvam karma khilam partha
sarvam karma kilam partha
Jnana parisampayate.
jnane parisamapyate.
You want to repeat?
Shreyan dravyamaya yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma kilam partha jnane parisamapyate.
Anyone else wants to go?
Can I go?
Okay.
Shriyandravyamayadhyagna Jnana parantapa sarvam karma kalim partha jane parishamiti.
Okay. So we'll go for the word to word. Shreyan.
Shreyan.
Return.
Yeah.
Later.
The Dravyamayat.
Dravyamayat.
Of material possessions.
Of material possessions.
Yagna.
Yajna.
Then the sacrifice.
Then the sacrifice.
Jnana yagna.
Jnana yajna.
Sacrifice in knowledge.
Sacrifice in knowledge.
Parantapa.
Parantapa.
Chastiser of the enemy.
Chastiser of the enemy.
Sarvam.
Sarvam.
All.
Karma.
Activities. Akhilam. In totality. Partha. The son of Pritha. Yani. In knowledge. Parisampayate.
Parisamapyate.
Parisampyate.
End.
And
And
Translation, anyone want to go? Translation. Okay. The translation and purport is divine by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge, is better than mere sacrifice of material possession. After all, O son of Pita, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The purpose of all sacrifice is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifice sometimes take different form according to the particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifice should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifice remains on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifice are simply material activities. When, however, they are elevated to the level of transcendental knowledge, all such activities enter onto the spiritual platform, depending on difference in consciousness. Sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda, fruitive activities, and sometimes called jnana kanda, knowledge in the pursuit of truth. It is better when the end is knowledge. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, so what is happening in this particular chapter? This is a 33 words. Does anybody remember what we did yesterday? We just had a class, right? Just 24 hours before. What did we learn yesterday? Does anybody want to summarize? No? Yes.
I'm lucky if I remember what I ate in the morning. I'm sorry.
So here from these verses from 25 and today's is the last verse 33, Krishna is talking about the different type of sacrifice, right? So what does, when you hear the sacrifice, what comes in your mind? Anybody want to share? What does that sacrifice means? In our day-to-day life, what does sacrifice means?
The sacrifice is yajna. I remember this now. Yeah. Sacrifice for knowledge, right?
Yes, Mataji. So day-to-day activities, when we hear sacrifice means we do something, right? We sacrifice something. Let's say we say to somebody, see, I have sacrificed so much for you, right? Isn't it? We use this word, right? I'm sacrificing so much, or he has sacrificed so much for them, or whatever, right? This kind of our daily talks where we learn about the sacrifice. So sacrifice means to give something, right? So to sacrifice something for someone. So when Krishna talked about the different kinds of sacrifices, he talked about the karma kandi sacrifice, right? Where they worship the demigod, they do the certain kind of yagna, but that yagna is to please the demigods. Like how did Hiranyakashipu and Ravan, they did so much sacrifice, right? Without eating, without water. How did Hiranyakashipu's tapasya? But was that for attaining the supreme? No, that tapasya was for attaining the favor of the demigod Brahma, right? So similarly, these are different type of sacrifices. And does anybody remember what else we have heard in the sacrifice? I mean, we have been having the class maybe for a week now for these verses. So any other sacrifice comes in your mind? And the Jnana Kanda, right? The Jnana Kanda is the sacrifice that is, these yogis, they try to merge into the Brahman, so they cease their all the activities. So that is kind of a sacrifice, right? They are sacrificing their material activity to merge into the Brahman. Any other sacrifice comes in your mind? Just some revision so that,
Karmakanda.
Yes, we already discussed that. So the other sacrifices, if you remember, were the brahmachari also do some sacrifice, right? What is the brahmachari doing the sacrifice? Because what he does is, what does brahmachari does as a sacrifice process? Who wants to tell me? We have discussed it.
Me.
Okay, what does the brahmachari do?
The brahmachari in the fire puts ghee and butter and grains.
Thank you, Tulsi. So the brahmacharis, for the sacrifice at yagya, there is a fire, and that in the fire we throw something. Like in the usual setting of the sacrifice, we throw the ghee, butter, and grain. But as a brahmachari, what is the sacrifice? He sacrifices hearing process. How does he do that? He only hear about the Supreme Lord, right? He don't want to hear any sense enjoyment music or anything pertaining to increase his sense gratification mentality. So he sacrificed, so that control, sense control is the fire, and what he throw in that fire, he throw the senses. So that's the oblation he put in the fire of the sense control, right? Similarly similarly grahasthas, right? So grahasthas, under rules and regulation, they have some kind of license to do the sense gratification, but they also have to control the senses. So they they throw the senses not in the object of the they throw it in the sense enjoyment. So they are basically not doing and doing the restricted sense enjoyment. So they are controlling their mind. And there are some yogis called the Ashtanga yogis and different types of yogis. That sacrifice also Krishna has talked about in one of the verses, which we have discussed in the earlier classes. There, they these 5 kinds of hairs are there in our body. So they just try to control these breathing process, prana, apana. So prana is the air which goes upwards, and apana is the air which goes downwards. There are similarly 3 other airs. So they try to control this air, and they try to prolong their life. So these practices they do, but they also sacrifice, right? Sitting and doing those exercises to control their life air. So these kind of different type of sacrifice. Also Krishna talks about that there is a dravya yagya where the charity has been performed, and there is a tapo yagya. Tapo yagya means several severe austerities have been performed. Eightfold mysticism we have already discussed, that's Ashtanga yoga. And the other kind of sacrifice is swadhyaya. So swadhyaya means when we study the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge, right? So these are the different kind of sacrifice which we have covered so far. Just wanted to say some of them. And what happens in the last verse, Krishna is giving the conclusion that all these sacrifices, unless they culminate into the knowledge, they are not good for anything, right? So unless they culminate into a transcendental knowledge. So what is the, let's say if a brahmachari is sacrificing so much, or even if grahastha, like in the ISKCON, we have some certain do's and don'ts, chanting, and or for anybody following the 4 regulative principles. So we are controlling the senses, but what is the purpose of controlling the senses? To achieve the higher knowledge, to achieve the higher knowledge, to achieve the supreme. Sometimes, people have a half knowledge. So sometimes somebody would say, let's say if somebody is new to ISKCON or new to the system, so they'll say that you have to follow the 4 regulative principle, but they don't tell the what is the purpose behind following the 4 regulative principle. That when we know the knowledge behind following the 4 regulative principle, that it makes more sense, because you have to utilize your time in the higher advancement, in to know the absolute truth, right? To gain the transcendental knowledge. If we just keep on doing continuing sense enjoyment, then we cannot attain to the transcendental path. So attaining to the transcendental knowledge, we say that these regulative principles, that will help us. Prabhupada also say these principles as the principles of freedom. He doesn't say, it's not as you say, it's no this, no this, no this, no this, right? So no, but it's no is it's a freedom, because it's going to give us the higher purpose of the life, so that it should culminate. So whatever practices, austerities we are doing, we should culminate into the transcendental knowledge. So that purpose need to be known. Otherwise the other person say, why you're so saying no, no, no for all these things. But there is a purpose behind it to know about, to sit and read the. If we just keep on doing the sense enjoyment activity, then there is a time for us to read the Prabhupada's book, where is time for us to chant, where is time for us to associate with the devotees, right? So that's why these principles will free us from all these lower taste and give us the higher taste of transcendental knowledge. So here, merely just sacrificing the material possession doesn't work. We should know the purpose behind it. So as Krishna is saying, right? So we have to arrive to the complete knowledge, and then we can be free from material miseries. And how we can be free from material miseries? Because material miseries come because of our sinful activities. See, sense enjoyment is the other, like I think there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, that this is just the breeding, the sense enjoyment is just the breeding womb of material miseries, right? So womb, in a womb, in a due course of time, from a womb a baby appears. But what happens in this case is, when we do the sense enjoyment, we are creating a womb for our material miseries, because every sense enjoyment is associated with the material miseries, because we are going to do the more sinful activities, and more than our karma build, bad karma build, and we just going to get the more material miseries. So it frees us, right? This certain type of sacrifice when we do to attain the complete knowledge, or to attain the transcendental knowledge, just frees us from the cycle of birth and death. So meaning to free us from the material miseries. So that's the prominent material miseries of this world, right? Apart from the three material miseries, apart from the three miseries we know, there are birth, death, old age, and disease, right? So these are the four things. What Krishna says in 13th chapter, he says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. So who sees that these are the four material miseries, Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. That's a qualification, 20 item of knowledge. He says, I think one of the verses that Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. So these will free us from the material miseries. So that's what he is, and Krishna is trying to say here, that the mere sacrifice wouldn't work. That should lead to the culmination of the knowledge. And if it doesn't bestow spiritual benefit, then it is of no use for us. So does anybody wants to say, add, or any question on this verse? Because this is what is this verse about, the sacrifices, and we are just end of the sacrifice, like 25 to 33 verse, close to 8 verse are about the sacrifices. Anybody wants to say anything? Any question, comments, anything they want to add? Any corrections? Okay. If not, then we'll go to the next verse. So next verse, Krishna says jnana, right? How do we attain the jnana? So I'll quickly share my screen again, and then we'll read this verse. Tatvidhi pranipatena
तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
परिप्रश्नेन
Prashnena sevaya
उपदिक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
उपादेक्ष्य
Upadeshanti te jnanam
ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानिना सत्त्वदर्शिना
Jnaninas tattvadarshina
तत्त्वदर्शिनाम्
तत्विधि प्रणिपातेन
तद्विधि
Tadvidi
प्रणिपातेन
pranipatena
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
Pariprashnena sevaya
उपदिक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
Upadekshanti te jnanam
ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानिना सत्त्वदर्शिना
Jnaninas tattvadarshina
तत्विधि प्रणिपातेन
Tadvidi pranipatena
परिप्रश्नेन सेवया
Pariprashnena sevaya
उपदिक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानम्
Upadekshanti te jnanam
ज्ञानिना सत्त्वदर्शिना.
Jnaninas tattvadarshina
Anybody wants to say, they can do so.
तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन
Tadvidi pranipatena
Pariprashnena sevaya.
pariprashnena sevaya
Upadekshanti te jnanam.
upadekshanti te jnanam
Jnaninastatvadarshina.
jnanina tattvadarshina
Tatviti
Tadvidi
pranipate
pranipatena
Pariprashnena sevaya
pariprashnena sevaya
upadikshyanti te jnanam
upadekshanti te jnanam
anis tattva darshanaha.
jnaninastatvadarshina
Tat,
Tad,
that knowledge of different sacrifices.
that knowledge of different sacrifices.
Vidhi,
Vidhi,
try to understand.
try to understand.
Pranipate,
Pranipatena,
by approaching spiritual master.
by approaching a spiritual master.
Pariprashnena,
Pariprashnena,
by submissive inquiry.
by submissive inquiry.
Sevaya,
Sevaya,
by the rendering of service.
by the rendering of service.
Uptikshanti,
Upadekshanti,
they will
they will.
initiate.
Sorry, what was that?
They will initiate.
They will initiate.
They, you. They,
Oh, they, you.
They you.
jnanam into knowledge.
Jnanam
Jnanam
into
into
knowledge.
knowledge.
Jnanina,
Jnanina,
Jnanina.
realized.
The self-realized.
Tattvaha,
tattva
Tattvaha.
of the truth.
of the
Of the
truth.
truth.
Darshina,
Darshina,
seers.
seers.
Translation by Purport Swaminathan Srila Prabhupada. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Purport. The path of self-realization, the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam 6.3.19 says, Dharmantu Sakshat Bhavat Pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry argument cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in a spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is a submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with the genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind, did I miss anything? No. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So it's a very, very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. And also the important words of this chapter, Tat Nivati Pranipatena, Pariprashnina Sevya, Uttekshanti Te Jnana, Jnanina, Tattvadarshina. So how we get that jnana, that knowledge, right? So one must approach the spiritual master. So it's not like you may go, okay, if you like, you may go to the spiritual master. If you don't like, don't go to the spiritual master. It says we have to, one must. Krishna clearly saying one must go to the spiritual master. And you also know that Krishna also shows us, right? So Acharya is the one who knows the path, who goes the path, and who shows the path. So Krishna is also showing us in when he came in Krishna Leela, we see that he approached a bona fide spiritual master as Sandipani Muni. Krishna doesn't need a spiritual master. Krishna is a Krishna Vandin Jagat Guru. Krishna is a Jagat Guru. But to set a proper example for the human civilization, he approached a spiritual master and he really render very submissive services. We remember, right, how Krishna and Sudama Vipra goes to the forest to fetch the firewood, like to fetch the wood for the fire according to the desire of the Guru Patni, and then they just they just trapped in the rain there, so in the high rain there. So that's how Krishna is also showing. And also Krishna, when comes in Kali Yuga, he accepts a spiritual master. Who was the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who was the spiritual master? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ishwara Puri.
Ishwara Puri was the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he also approached Ishwara Puri for the initiation, and just to show us that we also have to approach a spiritual master. So what do we do when we approach a spiritual master? So we should be very submissive. We should inquire. Tattva Darshina. They have seen the truth, right? They have realized the truth, seen the truth, and realized that they are jnani. They are very potent in spiritual knowledge, and they are also at the same time tattva darshina. So they have seen the truth and they can impart their spiritual knowledge into to us. Like as you remember how the Lord has imparted this knowledge into the heart of a disciple, who was the disciple, the first living entity created by Krishna is Brahma. So that knowledge has been imparted through Krishna into the heart of Brahma. And when he got that knowledge, then he composes his Brahma Samhita. Like Brahma Samhita is a shorter version of Bhagavatam. How? Because it has everything, the spiritual word, what is the position of Krishna, what is the position of Durga, what is the position of the Shiva, what is the position of the Brahma. Like usually people have the doubts in the, in India, usually we have this mixed demigod. Even we say all gods, right? Most of the people, if you go, they have that conception that all is God. Brahma is God, Vishnu is God. They are the same level, and they have all the murtis in their home, small home temple. So because the conception has not been cleared through the scriptures, what is the conclusion of Brahma? Ishvara Parma Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So when he has realized that that knowledge has been imparted, so he realized that who is the supreme truth, who is the cause of all causes, who is Govinda. He sees his Goloka Vrindavan, everything has been revealed by the Lord in the heart of Brahma. So like that. So and when it is happened, when Krishna was satisfied by the austerities that has been done by Brahma for thousands of years, when he heard that word tapa, and he came into that lotus from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, stem came lotus. In that lotus flower, Brahma was born and he was bewildered about his existence. So he went swimming around that town in the stem, but he never finds the end, and he never understands. Then he heard this word tapa, and then he started performing austerities, and then that knowledge has been imparted. So this is how we also have, every one of us have to approach a bona fide spiritual master. Why? Not only any kind of guru, right? Bona fide means it should be, the guru should be authorized. He should come in the parampara. Like there are the 4 authorized parampara, right? Brahma, Madhava, Rudra, Lakshmi, and Kumara. So these are the 4 bona fide sampradaya, Vaishnav sampradaya. So any of the Vaishnav sampradaya one can accept a bona fide guru, right? And when they accept a bona fide guru, they should try to learn. And how they should learn, they can inquire, see if when somebody is telling something about the spiritual knowledge, a guru is telling us something. If we have doubt, we can definitely ask, but not in a challenging mood. We should ask very submissively. The guru and submissive inquiry along with the service to the guru, that makes a proper inquiry from the disciple side. And guru, when pleased by the submissive inquiries, the learning attitude of the disciple, then the knowledge can be imparted to us, right? So this is the process to learn the knowledge. And truth here doesn't mean the relative truth, it's absolute truth, right? So there is a verse in Mundaka Upanishad. What does that verse says? That verse says, Tad Vigyanartham Sa Gurum Eva Vikachet Samit Panina Shrotatiyam Brahmanishtam. So what a person should do to understand these things properly? One must humbly approach with firewood in hand a spiritual master who is learned in the Vedas and firmly devoted. Brahmanishtam mane, he is firmly devoted to the absolute truth. That kind of spiritual master one should approach very humbly, very submissively, not like in a challenging mood, okay, hey, show me God, right? Like that, not like that, very submissive mood the disciple should approach. So that's some Upanishad words that says that we should humbly approach, like similar kind of verse as we see here. So humbly approach. And who is the spiritual master? Who is learned in the Vedas, not only learned in the Vedas, a scholar is also learned in the Vedas. And you see so many people who are scholars, who are scholarly, like they might know 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, but they don't know the conclusion. What is the conclusion? We have to engage in the service of Lord. We have to surrender to Krishna. So Prabhupada also said dharma, right? This Bhagavad Gita also start with dharma. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre, and it also end in dharma. What is the dharma? Sarva dharman parityaja. So even if we remember 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, but we are not surrendered to Krishna, then our knowledge is not fruitful. Just learning 700 verses wouldn't make us qualify to know Krishna, right? So we have to approach a spiritual master, and we have to submissively inquire from him, and he can impart us the knowledge. That's what has been talked about in this verse. And just we don't have to speculate. We just getting the books, right? As in this word also, you see so many schools are there, so many universities are there, and if somebody has to do he has to do some medical studies, so he can get the books, right? Books are available in the market. But again, why we enroll to the university, why we go through the process of attending the class, right? To understand from the one who has acquired that knowledge and who is practicing that knowledge, correct? So this kind of, similarly, spiritual life is very important. So spiritual life guru, like as we need guru in all aspect of our life, and even what to speak of spiritual life in the material life, definitely we need this guru in the spiritual life. So that method Krishna is saying to everyone to approach, and the method is given how to approach. So does anybody remember who has surrendered to Krishna, like any scripture example they can give, like Prepatena, like that's a surrender. Who does that in the scripture? Like one of the example.
Arjuna, right?
Yes, Mataji. So Arjuna, right? But what was it, that word? Karpanya dosho pahata sabhava prichami tam dharma sammula cheta yet shreyan nishtitam ruhitanne shishyasya ham shadi mam tam tapanne. Shreyan means the highest good for us, Shreyan. There is a two terms always in the scripture, Shreya and Priya. Priya means our just immediate benefit. We are not seeing our ultimate benefit, but Shreya is the ultimate benefit. So what does Arjuna says? Arjuna says, I am confused about my duty and I have lost all the composure because of this miserly weakness. So in this condition, what I am doing, I am telling you what is best. Shreyan is not saying Prayan. He want to know the ultimate Shreya, ultimate benefit for him. That is Shreyan. So you tell me now, and he does, because Arjuna and Krishna, how are their relationship? They are cousin brother. They are very much friendly to each other, right? So he says, now I am not anymore of your sakha. I am your disciple. I am a soul surrender to you. Please instruct me. And immediately after Arjuna surrender, what does Krishna say? He says in full, Asochan anga sochastam pratyavadam bhasase gatasun nagatasum sha nanu sochanti pandita. So Krishna says immediately as he surrender, he takes a position of a disciple. As he says, mildly chastising, he says that you are murkha, you are fool, because you are lamenting of what is not to be lament. You think that you are a pandita, but you are talking about who is not a pandita, who doesn't know, because he doesn't know which to lament for and which not to lament for, right? Because he was lamenting for the bodies, so he has to kill all his relatives. He was lamenting. So that kind of surrender should be there. So here also we see that Krishna became the spiritual master, and Arjuna surrendered very submissively. He inquired, right? He doesn't challenge Krishna. He was arguing. He was arguing, right? In the first chapter, he did argue. And in the second chapter also, like the starting verse, he argued, how I can kill my guru, right? Like that. So you are Madhusudana. You are not the killer of your grandfather. You are the killer of the enemy Madhu. So how can I kill my guru? How can I kill my grandfather, Bhishma Deva, like that? So at first he is arguing. As a friend he is arguing, but as soon as he surrendered, how his wordings are, I am just surrendered. I am your disciple and a soul surrender to you. You please instruct me. And if you see any questions after this comes in Arjuna's mind, did he asking in a challenging mood? Fourth chapter, yeah, in this chapter only, right? Yes, in this chapter in the starting, Arjuna got a doubt, right? How may I understand? He doesn't say, I don't understand, Krishna, what he is saying. How can you give this knowledge to Sun God, who is millions and millions of times older than you? No, you're just joking like that. No, he's saying, how may I understand this, right? So that's a submissive inquiry. So that needs to be done. So submissively we have to inquire, and we have to also render service to the Guru. So when Guru is pleased with our service, then we can understand this knowledge, right? Everyone understood till here? And what happens when the Guru gives you the knowledge? Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada. So every morning we sing, right? Sansara dava nalalida loka. So this Guru Ashtakam we says in the last verse, Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada. So if Guru is pleased and Krishna is pleased. If Guru is pleased, then there is no way. So that's why we have to please, because those souls are engaged in the absolute service 24/7. We have to take knowledge from them. You know how Madhavendra Puri, who was a spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who was a spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he was serving in the last days of Madhavendra Puri when he was lamenting, okay, I'm not able to see, where are you, my Lord, where are you, Mathuranath, like that. So one of the, I think he was Ramachandra Puri. I forgot maybe that he was the one, Ramchandra Puri. He was the one who was saying he was trying to instruct his spiritual master. That's an offense to instruct a spiritual master, and he has lost all his knowledge, and he started criticizing the Vaishnavas. He even criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he has lost all his knowledge because he never think of instructing a spiritual master. So, but how did Ishwara Puri served Madhavendra Puri? He was doing menial services, menial services, He's cleaning the stool and urine of his spiritual master also at the end of his, when he was about to leave this world, mortal world. So that's how he was so surrendered, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even though he know everything, he shows us the path, how we should serve the Gurudev, how we should serve our spiritual master and inquire from him submissively. And also, if we talk about some more example, does anybody want to say more example from the scripture who have surrendered to the spiritual master? Does anybody?
I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu surrendered to his spiritual master.
Thank you. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also surrendered to his spiritual master, because whatever his spiritual master says, he do that, right?
And I think also Prabhupada also served to spiritual master by listening his words.
Yes, that's a very nice example. Prabhupada also, we in our modern life, we can relate to Prabhupada so much, right?
Even though Krishna is the Lord, but he is just like serving the Lord.
Thank you, Tulsi. So, as Tulsi is saying about Prabhupada, so you see how Prabhupada is, he's just at the one instruction he was meditating, right? He was meditating on the one instruction, you go and preach to the West. If not Prabhupada, then how we were doing our Bhagavad Gita classes, right? Here sitting in US, sitting every day doing Bhagavad Gita classes. So, so much surrendered to the instruction that he trying to fulfill from long time, and at the end, at the end he got a chance to fulfill his. He was trying from the starting, but when he took sannyas and all, then he was more free. To preach, and then he started preaching. He took so much pain, and then he came here, and how these people who have rendered service to Prabhupada, they developed the faith. They just had a simple faith on Prabhupada, and by having that faith, they have got all this spiritual knowledge. So many earlier disciple of Prabhupada, how they are initiating Guru, right? So there is another thing about the Guru. There are two types of Guru. One is Diksha Guru and other is Siksha Guru. So Diksha Guru is
Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru.
Yes. So Diksha Guru, who is the initiating spiritual master, he also gives you Siksha, but he's a formal initiation, connects you to the parampara formally. And Diksha Guru is one. Diksha Guru is not multiple. But Siksha Guru can be anyone from whom we acquire knowledge. Now, that can be Shiksha Guru, right? So Prabhupada is our most prominent Shiksha Guru, because we are taking knowledge from Prabhupada's book. So anyone who comes to ISKCON from the starting, Srila Prabhupada is the most prominent Shiksha Guru to all of us who are connected to, who are connected to ISKCON, and even a new member who comes to ISKCON. And there can be multiple Shiksha Gurus, like within ISKCON as well. So these are the different types of Siksha and Diksha Gurus as far as Guru has been concerned in this verse. And also, any other example? As I
think there are example of 5 paramparas.
Which parampara?
There are 5 paramparas, right?
4 parampara. Four disciplic succession in Vaishnava Sampradaya. So those are Brahma Marg.
No, I was saying about the 4 paramparas, and one is the 5th is the Shadu Goswami. So the Shadu Goswami, there are 5 paramparas.
5. Very nice to hear, Tulsi. I didn't know there are 5 paramparas. I have to learn from you, I think. So, yes.
I don't know if this is a good example, but Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj. Yes. Bali Maharaj is also surrendered, but he surrendered.
There are 5 paramparas. I know that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So what happens? Yes, Bali Maharaj he was earlier surrendered, but he had to reject his guru, because his guru was impediment to reach to Krishna, right? Because his guru was saying that you don't give this boy anything, because he is in disguise Vishnu. But what he says, let him take everything. I don't mind, and he was so determined. So. But another example I would like to give is Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is very, very learned, and he used to discuss Bhagavatam every day. Then when he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Varanasi, then what did he say? He say, I am the fool number 1, right? Because he's accepting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his guru. So he says, although the people say I am very learned, In village, in my village, people say I'm very learned, but I am fool number one. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am supposed to do. So all these inquiries he placed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So very submissively he inquired from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also happened in the case of Maharaj Rahuguna and Jad Bharat, right? What happened? Just
Can you tell the story of Jabhat and Rajguna?
yes, I will tell now. So just what happened in the case of Maharaj Rahuguna and Jad Bharat is Jad Bharat was a very self-realized soul, as we know is a Bharat Maharaj coming in first life, like when he left his body thinking about deer, he became deer. But the next life when he gave up the deer life, he became Jad Bharat. So he was very self-realized, but he didn't want to entangle himself in anything. So he remained like a kind of outside world, looks like a madman. So he remained like that. So what happened? Palanquin. So this king Maharaj Rahuguna was being carried in a palanquin where he was sitting inside, and 4 people were carrying him. So Jad Bharat was also one of them. And when he was carrying the palanquin, since he was a very self-realized soul, he don't want to step on any living entity, right? He should not step on any living entity, an ant, any insect we see. By mistake, we might do that, right? So that's a aparad. But consciously, we should not step on any living entity. So he was very careful stepping on the living entity. So the ants. So what he was doing, he was just jumping here and there like that, So jumping, what was happening with the jumping? Palanquin which he was carrying was moving around. So this Raja, this king was not at all comfortable because he was not going very smoothly. So then he just, told this person who was his servant that why you are doing like that. He chastised them. Then they said, oh no, this is a new person who has joined us and he is not carrying the palanquin properly. It's not our mistake. And then he says, King Rahuguna, start saying to Jad Bharat that why you're doing like that. Okay, looks like you have been coming from a long distance carrying this palanquin. You are so old and you are not able to carry because you might be thirsty, hungry, you're so old, like that. He actually, it was a sarcasm because Jad Bharat has a strong body. He was very young. So in the sarcasm, he says that. And second time again he started chastising, and then Jad Bharat replied, and he says, "Why you're doing? I told you walk properly, but you're not doing." Um, then he says to then Jad Bharat replies after second time when this Rahuguna says. So he says, "I am your master. You should not do like that. What I can do to you? I'm a king. I'm a master." So what this Jad Bharat reply, okay, then he started imparting this spiritual knowledge to him, because soul, right? Today you say you are my master, tomorrow you are my servant and I am your master. Like that he impart him the spiritual knowledge. And then, when he started saying all this knowledge, then Maharaj Rahuguna, he just do that prostate obeisances to Jad Bharat. He says, who are you in the disguise of a mad person, like you are a self-realized person, please impart me the knowledge. So then he submissively inquired that knowledge when he understood. So sometimes it is difficult to understand a spiritual guru, but he took that position since he understood. When he started instructing, he understood that he is not a ordinary person, ordinary soul. He's a very self-realized person. So he submissively inquired from him, and then he took him as a spiritual master. So there are so many examples in our scriptures, regarding the submissive inquiries. Like as Chanaka Rishi is also very learned, but very submissively inquired from the Super Goswami. So multiple examples are there in our scripture. So this is what this verse is saying, and I think pretty much I have covered. So anybody wants to add anything on this correction? anything, any questions, they can do so now.
Oh, nice. Also, Laksha Hira, she surrendered to Haridas Thakur, right?
Yes, Mataji, who you said?
The prostitute, Laksha Hira.
Okay, yeah, Mataji, I was not sure what was his name. Does his her name mentioned in Chetan Chetamrita or which other book?
Yeah, her name is mentioned as Laksha Hira.
Shahira, okay, I was not
Mm.
sure. Yes, Mataji, yes, she surrendered. Also, Mrigrari just surrendered, right? Surrendered to Narad Muni.
Yeah.
All the examples of the submissive surrender to the Guru. So, Guru.
And I think also I think also we also have to send the spiritual master.
What did you say, Tulsi?
I think we also have to send our spiritual master.
You also have to.
We also have to send the spiritual master of ourselves.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what this whole verse is about. Surrender, inquire, submissive to inquire, and render service to the spiritual master.
Have we done from the class?
Yes, if anybody has any question and comment, we can take. We can end. But I want to know if anybody has anything to add, to subtract what I said. Maybe I said wrong. You can tell me. And
No, always we said right.
we should hear from all the devotees, isn't it? Yes, so every this devotees are so surrendered to their spiritual master, and we may pray to the lotus feet that we may be able to serve just some percentage to our spiritual master.
Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu payayuscha patitam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Now, thank you, everyone.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hari.
Jai Padmalocani Mataji ki jai. Tulsi Mataji ki jai.